What's going on, guys? My name is Trevor. Welcome back to the channel. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 came out last week, making it the 32nd MCU movie. So today we're ranking all 32 MCU movies and placing them on their proper tiers. Join me down below in the comment section. What's your least favorite and favorite MCU movies, and what are your thoughts on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3? Let me know all that down below. Leave a like, hit the subscribe button, notification bell. Let's hop into these tiers. Alrighty, starting out with our tiers, we have top 5. My top 5 MCU movies will go in here. We have great, we have good, we have okay, we have meh. And we have bottom 5. My bottom 5 will go in bottom 5. These movies are in no particular order. First up, we have the first Iron Man going in that great tier. The first Iron Man started everything off for the MCU, and when watching this movie in the very beginning back in 2008, no one had any idea that the MCU would end up being 32 epic, amazing, some not amazing movies. So you just got to give applaud to this movie, and everything is set up for the MCU. Robert Downey Jr. is born to play this role, and he was born to play this role. And Jon Favreau still delivered one of the best movies inside the MCU. Next up, we have Avengers Age of Ultron. I'm putting this in the great tier as well. I'm a diehard fan of all the Avengers movies, and I thought Avengers Age of Ultron was just a nice change of pace from, I guess, the first Avengers, how the whole team was getting together. This one, the team turns against each other several different ways. You add different characters in there. There's lots of little beef going on inside this movie with a great villain in Ultron. I'll stand by that. I love this movie. I love the action and the Hulkbuster versus the Hulk scene. I mean, you didn't see that coming. Moving on, we have Avengers Infinity War. Top 5. This is my favorite comic book movie of all time. This is arguably my favorite movie of all time. It is my favorite MCU movie. Everything and more about this movie I love. I've seen it 50 plus times. I could pretty much quote the entire thing. You can't talk about Infinity War without talking about Endgame. My second favorite MCU movie. Avengers Endgame going in the top 5 tier as well. Avengers Endgame and Avengers Infinity War are two of the best movies that coincide so well. They go hand in hand just perfectly, and that's hard to do for lots of movies, and these two made for two of the greatest comic book movies ever made. And Infinity War is fantastic, and once you turn off Infinity War, you can go right into Endgame. You can feel all the emotion all over again. I do like Infinity War, not a lot more than Endgame, but definitely like Infinity War for how fast-paced it is. Endgame is definitely a little bit slower paced. All the characters are kind of, I guess, on their last legs inside the MCU. You don't know exactly where it's going to go. It's a time travel mission, but the last hour of Endgame, I mean, that is chef's kiss right there. Then we have Thor: The Dark World. I don't go back and rewatch this one, honestly, ever. I saw it in theaters. I saw it once at home. So I'm going to put it in the meh tier. Might be regretting that later on, but Thor: The Dark World, I remember having some fun with. You have a terrible villain. During this time, the MCU had such a hard time with villains, so it's in the meh tier. That might even be a hot take. Then we have Thor: Ragnarok. That's a great movie. This one's a lot of fun. It's probably my favorite Taika Waititi film. I'm not a big fan of a lot of his movies, but with Thor: Ragnarok, he has his flair, and he made it the best Thor movie. And then what he did with Thor: Love and Thunder, we'll get to it another time. But Thor: Ragnarok is absolutely hilarious. Arguably the funniest movie inside the MCU with a great soundtrack. Loki and Thor's brother friendship, relationship is carrying on so nicely. Hela is a menacing villain. She's a hella good villain, so great, great, great fun movie. Then we have Guardians of the Galaxy. This great tier is going to be filled. A group of misfits all put on the same screen together for the first time. No one really had any idea who these characters were. And to say this movie worked well is an understatement. Everything that James Gunn gave us, he put his flair. He gave us everything and more you could want in a movie like this. A bunch of characters from all over the galaxy all brought on the same screen together with a fantastic soundtrack. It's just a huge curveball for the MCU. Everyone's like, Guardians of the Galaxy? What even is that? I didn't even know what this movie was. And it ended up being one of my all-time favorite MCU movies. Then we have Ant-Man, the first Ant-Man. Gonna go in the good tier. First movie in the good tier. Ant-Man is a lower stakes movie. Paul Rudd plays his character so well. I am very surprised that Ant-Man got a trilogy, but the first Ant-Man still is a ton of fun. Ant-Man and the Wasp is going to go right there in the bottom 5. Paul Rudd and Scott Lang, they can carry along so well. Luis is absolutely hilarious, but you have a terrible villain in Ghost, and everyone's like, she's not the real villain. But after seeing Avengers Infinity War to go in and watching Ant-Man and the Wasp, I mean, just two distasteful movies. I mean, Infinity War is fantastic, and you come right to Ant-Man and the Wasp, and you're like, what? Turn into Snoozeville, but great post-credit scene. Great post-credit scene. And then we have the first Doctor Strange. Not a big Doctor Strange guy. The first Doctor Strange. I'm going to put this in the meh tier as well. It's one of my dad's favorite movies of all time, which is bizarre because he's never seen another MCU movie. He absolutely loves Doctor Strange. And I just can't get into this movie. No matter what, Harry tried to try to rewatch it. I'm not a fan. It's probably my hottest MCU take. And we have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. This is a great movie. The first Guardians and Guardians 2 just go so well together. In Guardians 2, you have Baby Groot. You have a great villain in Ego. And I just have fun with these characters. Sometimes it does go a little bit slower, but it's absolutely hilarious. I love Gamora and Star-Lord's relationship throughout this movie. I love Baby Groot. I love Rocket. He may be a father boy, but he ain't Joe Daddy. Miss Yondu did. He was such a great character. Then we have Iron Man 3 going in the okay tier. I've talked about this movie a lot, but something just about trying to take away Tony Stark's powers never sat right with me. It never ever will. Don't understand Shane Black's decision with that. So, moving on to Spider-Man Homecoming. Great movie. This is one of my favorite Spider-Man movies. It's such a lower stakes high school film, and that's what I love most about it. And when Michael Keaton opens that door, I don't care who you are, you didn't see that coming. Moving on to Spider-Man Far From Home. Gonna go in the okay tier. I just don't like Mysterio. Even after watching No Way Home, it makes me like Mysterio just a little bit more. I just can't get behind him as a villain. Not a big fan of this storyline. I like these characters a lot, but Far From Home was one of those movies I walked out pretty disappointed in. Then, the reason we are doing this tier list, we have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Top 5 tier. James Gunn single-handedly did a scene that I don't think will ever be able to be recreated, and I think it's easily the best scene Marvel's ever done. He does like a POV one-shot, one-take with the Guardians of the Galaxy toward the third act, and it's one of the most epic, beautiful things ever with No Sleep Till Brooklyn playing in the background. I'm not sure how he filmed it. I'm not sure how he even thought that he wanted to film this, but it's everything and more I could have wanted. My jaw was dropped to the floor. The amount of emotion you feel throughout this movie, it just hits hard on every single level. The dog days are over. No Sleep Till Brooklyn. I have chills just thinking about it. I've only seen it the once, and it's in my top 5 MCU, and I cannot wait to watch this one again. Everything and more I could have wanted for a movie this gave me, and it's my favorite movie of the year so far. I don't think anything's going to change that. And we have the first Black Panther going in the good tier. First Black Panther, just the world and creation of Wakanda is what makes this movie exactly what it is. Chadwick Boseman plays the character of T'Challa so well. Michael B. Jordan is fine as Killmonger. I've never been a big fan of him, but I love the world Ryan Coogler created for Black Panther. It's epic, it's awesome, it's grand. And we have Captain Marvel. I don't absolutely hate Captain Marvel. I remember liking it a lot in theaters. Just rewatching him, it was definitely a little bit boring. But I'm going to put this into okay tier. Probably the highest I've ever put it on a tier list ranking. It's getting me more excited for the Marvels. I'm excited to check out the Marvels, and I'm excited to go back and rewatch this one. Again, I have not rewatched this one all that much, but it's fine. It's solid. It's okay. Then we have Black Widow. I think Black Widow is a fun, low-stakes, good movie inside the MCU. I love what they did with it. Natasha Romanoff finally got the limelight she deserved. Red Guardian's a fantastic character. Getting introduced to Yelena's great. You have Dreykov and Taskmaster, two bottom-tier MCU villains, but overall, a fun and good movie that's lower stakes because you know she's going to live by the end of it, but introduce us to Yelena, Red Guardian, great post-credit scene, and they're joining the Thunderbolts, which I'm excited about. I almost forgot they're called the Thunderbolts. Moving on to Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, going in that great tier. I mentioned the great tier was going to be absolutely stacked, and it is. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is a movie I had no idea it was going to be about. I was excited, but again, no idea it was going to be about. Never heard of Simu Liu before. No idea who this character was. Talk about one of the best martial arts kung fu movies you can ever watch. It's epic, it's grand. The third act is a little outlandish with like some dragons flying around, and people are, you lose people with that. You lose people when you throw some fantasy in a comic book movie, but it's hilarious, it's fun, it's action packed. I saw this one 3 times in theaters, and I absolutely love it still. Then we have Eternals. Bottom 5. Not much to say about this one. I think it works better as a series. I've said it 1,000 times. I'll say it 1,000 times more. It would work better as a series. Then we have Spider-Man No Way Home. Spider-Man No Way Home is going to go in the top. I'm going to put it in the top of the great tier because it's number 6. And this movie, it's big nostalgia jump, and a lot of people complain about that. That is probably my biggest complaint for the movie as well. But also, it's my favorite part about this movie. I would say my biggest complaint about the movie is the first hour and a half until Andrew and Toby show up. I mean, fast forward it. It's kind of a snooze fest. It's kind of too silly. It's kind of all over the place. It has different like tones throughout it. But once Toby and Andrew show up on screen, that was the most loud theater I've ever been in. I've never been more excited throughout a movie. It was epic. It was awesome. It was beautiful. And I wish I could relive that night. And we have Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which I think is a great movie. I genuinely do. I enjoyed the hell out of this one. I watched it one more time at home on Disney Plus, and I had a lot of fun with it. I think Scarlet Witch is easily my top 5 favorite villain of the MCU. She's menacing, she's brutal, she's just terrifying, and I absolutely love her. Then we have Thor, Love and Thunder. I don't even want to talk about it. It's arguably my least favorite movie of all time. Then we have Iron Man 2. We're on a little bit of a stinker stretch right here, but Iron Man 2 is going to go on the bottom 5 as well. Got a nostalgia there, obviously, with Jon Favreau returning, and you got Iron Man in there, but other than that, not too much of a rewatchable movie. Then we have Black Panther Wakanda Forever going in the great tier. We filled up the great tier today. Black Panther Wakanda Forever is epic. It's amazing. It's beautiful. It was my top 5 right when I watched it. It's emotional. I love the post-credit scene. I love everything they did with this movie. And overall, I love Namor. He's a fantastic villain. Great soundtrack. The beats, the scores. It was all beautiful, and I loved it. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is a good movie. Did I absolutely love it? No. Did I absolutely hate it? No. I think it's the most overhated movie inside the MCU right now. It's very interesting to see what the future of it is going to be with Kang and Jonathan Majors, but overall, a solid, good movie that I enjoyed. Then we have The Incredible Hulk, which is going to go in the bottom 5 tier. I think The Incredible Hulk is overhated, but it's definitely the black sheep inside the MCU. A different character playing this guy, a very slower, darker movie, but has some epic moments at the end when the Hulk fights Abomination. I mean, it's pretty cool stuff. Moving on to Thor! And Thor is going to go in the okay tier. I have quite a bit of fun with Thor, and I don't go back and rewatch the one all that much, but I need to go for another. Captain America: The First Avenger. It's meh. Don't even want to talk about it. I've seen this movie one time. I never watched it again all the way through. Fast forwarded through World War II. Or 1. Or whatever war it was. Not for me. And the beginning was epic. Everything else fell through the cracks. Captain America: The Winter Soldier. A great great movie. One of the best spy espionage thrills you can ever want in a film. It's absolutely epic on every single level. And the Russo brothers get introduced inside the MCU. I mean, this movie, it just screams dope. It screams spy. It screams thriller. And emotional with Captain America and Bucky. I mean, Captain America gets the hell beat out of him because he's with him till the end of the line. It's epic. It's awesome. It's beautiful. And I love it. Then we have Captain America: Civil War. Avengers 2.5 going in top 5 tier right there. This movie hits on the emotion, hits on the action, the airport scene, your Avengers fighting each other. Cap versus Tony, or your Team Cap or your Team Tony, and I gotta go back and forth every day. It's easily top 5, and it's. I wish I got to see this one in theaters. This is the one movie I missed in theaters. I watched it for the first time at home. What am I doing with my life then? I don't know, but seeing Black Panther and Tom Holland Spider-Man on screen for the first time, are you joking? And finally, finishing off this MCU ranking in my top 5 tier, the first Avengers in the top 5 tier. First time I ever saw a movie 3 times in theaters. It's everything and more I wanted in a movie. It's epic, and this is my favorite version of Hulk we ever got, when he screams that loud roar in New York when he goes, "That's my secret, Captain. I'm always angry." He punches the big thing, then he's like, "Ah!" It's so cool. I absolutely love it, and it's in my top 5 tier. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know your ranking of all 32 MCU movies down below in the comments. These are always fun to do. Appreciate you guys for being here. Hit the like button, subscribe button, notification bell, and we'll see you in the next one.